Hello, students. Let's discuss the remaining part of the poem A Thing of Beauty by John Keats and also discuss the question answers related to it.
This poem, as we did the other day, it has been written by John Keats, who was a great lover of nature and of beauty as well. And we talked about the Greek legend and of Endymion and the Greek goddess. And in this particular poem, he talks about the very first line introduces the poem, and it is the theme. It summarizes the theme of the poem as well. That a thing of beauty is a joy forever, and its loveliness increases it manifold with the passage of time, and its value does not decrease. And every time we think of it, we get refreshed and we get rejuvenated. Okay, and he has compared it with the sleep that is similar to the sleep which is full of sweet dreams. And he says that on every morrow, on every other day, on every morning, what do? We read, we weave a beautiful string of flowers. And what are these flowers? Can anyone just explain what are these flowers?
Ma'am, these flowers bind the people with the mother earth in
Yes, very
spite of
good.
all the sadness
In spite of
in
all
human
the
life.
sadness, in spite of the scarcity of nobility around us, these flowers are some form of, different forms of beauty. This form, they could be in the form of, children laughing, or they could be in the form of somebody helping out an old man, or they could be in the form of, a beautiful poem. They can also be in the form of some beautiful work of literature. So any form of beauty, these things, they bind us to the Mother Earth. And he says, in spite of despondence, in spite of hopelessness, in spite of sadness, and of the inhuman dearth. And why is there scarcity of noble natures? What is the poetic device that the poet has used here of noble natures of the gloomy days? Can anyone just tell the poetic device? What is the poetic device used here? Noble natures? Very simple. What is the poetic device here of noble natures?
Alliteration.
Yes, it is alliteration. The poetic device is alliteration, and he says that there is scarcity, there is insufficiency of noble natures, because we see around us people who always want to take out something from us. They're selfish, they are greedy, and we don't have people like Jesus Christ now. We don't have people like Mahatma Gandhi now. We don't have people who are idealistic, and we are surrounded by people who always are selfish, who are greedy, who want to extract something out of us. And therefore he says there is scarcity of noble natures. But in spite of this scarcity, in spite of this insufficiency, in spite of the sad days that we are having these days, and because of the unhealthy and over darkened ways we were talking about the other day, with the trials and difficulties and tribulation that we face in our life, in spite of all these things, he says again, he's repeating it, he says, yes, in spite of all, some shape of beauty moves away the pall. And what is pall? Pall is again, darkness. There is some form of beauty in one way or the other. Like it can be beauty in nature. It can be beauty in some architecture, in some work of architecture. It can be beauty in some work of literature. It can be a beautiful poem that you have read. It can be a beautiful thing that you have witnessed, or a beautiful gesture that you have made yourself of kindness to someone. So these things, or some shape of beauty in nature also, they move away the darkness from our dark spirits. And why do we have dark spirits? Can anyone tell me why does he say dark spirits? It is related with the previous lines also that we have done. Just think over it. Why do
Activities.
yes,
Noble
negativity?
nature.
Yes, Malvika, what did you say? Malvika, you said something.
Ma'am, because there is no noble people
Yes,
in
because
society.
there are no noble people around us, and there is negativity.
Thing around us.
Yes, there is negativity all around us, and that is why our spirits are weighed. We are suppressed under this sadness that is all around us. But still, he says, in spite of all these things, there are beautiful things around us. Like, for example, we have the glorious sun, the sun, the moon, the glory of the moon. Then he talks about trees, old and young. So unlike human life, we don't find it is very ironical that we don't find beauty in old people, but still in nature there is beauty in trees which are old as well as young, because we have beautiful banyan tree, we have beautiful chinar, the magnificent chinar tree. These are old trees, but still we find them very beautiful, and they provide us comfort, they provide us rest, they give us shade, they give us everything. So we have beauty in nature, and these things, they give us a shady boon. These things, what do you mean by sprouting a shady boon? Again, we have alliteration here, sprouting a shady boon. So they appear as a kind of a boon for us, they appear as a kind of a blessing for us. Okay, so this is all about this page. Then we move on to the next page, and he says we have beauty in for simple sheep, and such are daffodils. Simple sheep, you can just underline this. No doubt there is alliteration here, but there is biblical allusion. There is biblical reference, and reference is to Jesus Christ, because Christ has been in Bible. He has been called as a shepherd, and here sheep refer to all the people who are there on this earth. So sheep are the innocent people that surround him, and Jesus Christ is the shepherd. So if you're asked, if you can explain this simple sheep, you will not only say that we have poetic device alliteration that the poet has used here, but you will talk about biblical reference, and reference is to Jesus Christ, because he did so much for he lived his life for the others, and here sheep refer to the innocent people of the world that surround Jesus Christ. And then he talks about there's beauty in daffodils also. Daffodils, beautiful flowers. Now, God does not. It is we have this tendency to discriminate between good and bad, and discriminate between things and people. But God doesn't have this discriminatory tendency. He treats everybody as equal. So he doesn't say that this person is bad, so he will not give this beautiful bounty of daffodils to him. So this nature is for everybody to enjoy. So God does not discriminate between anyone, and He says, such are the daffodils with the green world they live in. So what is the green world that they live in? What is He talking about here? Very simple. Green world they live in. What is the green world here? The world of nature. Okay, we are talking about the flowers which bloom in nature, and the clear rills. So there is beauty in small streams that for themselves a cooling covert. Again, we have alliteration here. Okay, cooling covert make against the hot season. The mid forest break. So he says, what is? Let me just ask you a few questions till this line. With the green world they live in. Then we'll move on to the last two, uh, last few lines of this poem. Okay. So he says, in spite of all, till with the green world they live in. What does in spite of all refer to here? What does in spite of all refer to?
Poet wants to say that in spite of the self will people still get a lot of beauty in nature, and then he expresses the beauty of nature in the sun, moon, and clouds.
Yes, very good. He says that in spite of negativity around us, in spite of the people, in spite of the inhuman dirt, the scarcity of noble nature around us, we still have, in spite of selfish people around us, we still have so many beautiful things which rejuvenate us, which refresh our mind, and we feel happy. We find happiness all around us by seeing the beautiful objects in nature. Okay, so he says, what moves, the next question is, what moves away the pall? What is pall? I told you, darkness. So what moves away the pall from our lives? Yes. What is it that moves away the pall from our lives? Malvika will not answer now. Somebody else. Let somebody else speak.
Ma'am, ma'am, beauty in any shape or form helps in driving away the sadness or darkness.
Yes, beauty in any shape, beauty in any form, and you can also explain how beauty in different forms. You can say beauty of the love between a mother and a child, beauty of a beautiful book of literature, a beautiful poem, a beautiful gesture that you do of kindness that you do towards someone, or even helping when a young boy is just going out to help an old man, or a student comes to a teacher and he or she says thank you. There's beauty in that also. So we find we need to have eyes to see, to perceive beauty around us. There is beauty everywhere around us. So these forms of beauty, what do? They drive away the darkness, they drive away the sadness that is there in our lives. What images of beauty has the poet referred to here? You will say the images of beauty, not only the natural images of the sun, the moon, the sheep, the simple sheep, the clear streams, the daffodils, and you will also talk about the different other symbols of beauty that are there in very much there in nature. Okay, how does he celebrate the beauty of a tree? We just discussed it. Somebody else, apart from Abhay, apart from Malvika, somebody else has to answer now. Abhay will not speak, and Malvika will also not give the answer. Somebody else has to answer. How does he celebrate the beauty of a tree? How does the poet celebrate beauty of a tree? Yes.
Ma'am, may I?
Yes, who's this?
Khushpreet, ma'am.
Yes, Khushpreet. You can answer. Khushpreet.
Ma'am, poet describes that the trees provide us with their shade,
Yes.
flowers, and with their beauty, and the rivers
Yes.
with their coolness during the hot summers.
Yes, very good. He
All
says
of these are the beauties of nature.
beauty of a tree. We are talking about, if we have to focus here on the beauty of the tree, and whether it's an old tree, like I told you, it's a chinar tree, or it's a banyan tree, or it's a young sapling, sprouting and trying to become a tree. All these are symbols of beauty, and they give us shade. They give us protection. Okay, they give us this beautiful blessing, the blessing of shade, the blessing of protection. And what do they protect us from? They protect us from the heat, they protect us from the rain, and etc. And what does the reference simple sheep symbolize? Yes, this biblical reference, I just told you about
May I?
that.
It's basically the common people.
Yes, you will not just the common people. And please, I've got a message from somebody in the class, and he says, "Ma'am, please ask the others to mute their mics." So the only child, if I ask a question from anyone, only that child should speak. The others should keep their mics muted, because otherwise it creates a lot of disturbance, and students are not able to hear clearly. Okay, so we are not just talking about sheep. We are not just focusing on the people. You will say the reference is to Jesus Christ, and it has biblical illusion. It has biblical reference wherein Christ is the shepherd, and he is taking with him simple sheep, and sheep here refer to all the people of the world. Okay, so flock of sheep is the people of the world. Okay, and with the green world they live in, we just talked about that, the green surroundings, the beautiful nature, the where plants and animals coexist with each other. Okay, so next he says, let's move on to the next few lines. And he says, and clear rills that for themselves a cooling covert make. Against the hot season, the mid forest break, rich with a sprinkling of fair musk rose blooms, and such too is the grandeur of the dooms. So the last line is very, very important, but we'll discuss the first few lines first. And he says, clear rills. Now, what does clear rill mean? What do you mean by clear rills? Small streams, okay, the small rivers, which are the sources of water for us in nature. And how are these clear rills useful to us? How are they useful to us? Can anyone just explain? How are these clear rills useful to us, human beings?
Ma'am, they provide cool winds in the hot weather season.
Yes, they provide cool wind, and they are a source of water for us. They're also source of support life on the earth. And then he says, the mid forest against the hot season, the mid forest break. So mid forest break is, when you enter the forest, you see a lot of flowers blooming, just before you enter the forest, and that is the mid forest break. It is full of, it is blooming with rose flowers, which are, they are spread in between, and rich with the sprinkling of fair musk rose blooms, and all the beautiful flowers, the lavenders, the the blooming flowers. He's talking about them, and he says, such too is the grandeur of the dooms. Underline this phrase, grandeur of the dooms. And what does it mean? Grandeur, grandness, grand magnificence. He says beauty is not only to be found in nature, beauty is not only to be found in life, but he says beauty is there in death also. So what does he mean by this? Not in the death of ordinary people who are afraid of dying, who just hide themselves whenever there is some calamity or things like that. But beauty is there in the death of noble people. For example, we have the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, who died for the people. Then we have soldiers who sacrifice their lives for the people of their country. So, and we read stories about them, we read about them, and we feel so blessed that we have such people around us. So he says there is magnificence. What is grandeur? There is grandness. There is magnificence in the death also. Not only do we have beauty in growth, there is beauty in decay as well. Because these two are, growth and decay. These are 2 points, two sides of the same coin, and they are two very important aspects of life. So he says there is beauty even in death, and there is beauty even in decay. Okay, and so you can talk about, we should take inspiration from such noble people around us, who live an idealistic life, who live their life for the others, and who sacrifice their lives for the other people around them. Okay, so he says, grandeur of the dooms, we have imagined for the mighty dead all lovely tales that we have heard or read, an endless fountain of immortal drink pouring unto us from the heavens brink. So he says all lovely tales that we have heard or read. So we read about these beautiful tales of the martyrs, these beautiful tales of the soldiers who sacrificed their lives for the others, or we have read stories of Jesus Christ. We have read the story of Julius Caesar, who very well knew that he had done so much for his country. He had done so much for Rome, but still there was a conspiracy against him, and he was, brutally murdered. He was killed. So these are all symbols of beauty. There is beauty in death as well. There is beauty in the death of the brave hearts. There is beauty in the death of the soldiers, and they die for a noble cause, and we think about them, and whenever we read stories about them, we hear tales about them, we feel happy and we feel blessed that we have such noble souls around us, even in these difficult times. So, and these wonderful tales, these wonderful stories, they are what? They are like a source of inspiration for us, and they are like an endless fountain of immortal drink. So what is in the last two lines, in the concluding lines, he says these are like they are like amrit. He says they are like they are pouring on us from the heavens brink, from the edge of the heaven. They are like the blessings of God. Okay, God is giving us these blessings in bountiful. So it is like an eternal fountain. Eternal, you know the meaning of eternal? Eternal is everlasting. It is like an everlasting drink, everlasting fountain of immortal drink, the drink that doesn't come to an end. And what is that drink? That is the blessings of God. Okay, and they are being given to us from the edge of heaven. Heaven's brink means from the corner of heaven, from the edge of heaven. So this beautiful blessing, this beautiful nectar, which he calls elixir of life, it is like a fountain, and it is a source of happiness for us. It is a source of peace for us. It is a source. It gives us solace, and it rejuvenates us. It refreshes us, and it gives us a strength to fight the difficulties that we face in our life, the trials and tribulations that we face in our life. Now, see, Keats had written this poetry, this particular poem in the 18th century. But poetry, as you know, is timeless. It is not just bound to a particular age. It is not bound to a particular century or a particular decade. But it is everlasting. So it holds reference even in today. He talks about the inhuman dearth of human nature in the 18th century. What would he have written in the 21st century when we have violence and bloodshed and things like and wars and things like that going on every day in our life? So as I told you, this poetry, or we are not just talking about this particular poem. Poetry itself is, in any form, is timeless, and it is everlasting. It is for all the times. So let us discuss a few questions related to this stanza, and then we'll discuss the textbook questions as well. So, if we talk about this last few lines, what are the mighty dead that the poet is talking about? What are the mighty dead? He says there is Dandier of the Dooms, and
Ma'am, the mighty dead are the warriors who led their lives for their country or for humanity.
yes, the warriors, the soldiers who have sacrificed their lives, such noble people who have sacrificed, who have lived their lives for others, and who have sacrificed their lives for the others. Okay, and what have we done for these mighty dead, these warriors? What have we as human beings done for them? What do we do for them? We keep their memories alive in our hearts. We keep their memories alive in our minds by reading tales about them, by reading or hearing tales about them. Okay. So why is the poet making this kind of a reference to death? Why does he make this kind of a reference? Yes. Just 5 minutes ago, I told you
And
exactly this thing. Yes.
because beauty can be seen not only in birth, it can also be seen in death
Yes.
or decay.
Yes, very good. He says that beauty is there not only in growth, but there is beauty in decay. So beauty is there in death as well. This is what he wants to say, but not just in ordinary death, but death of some noble people who have glorified death. And how have they glorified death? By sacrificing their lives for the others. Okay, so what is referred to as an endless fountain of immortal drink? Again, the same thing. Endless fountain of immortal drink is, yes,
It refers to blessing of God.
blessings of God and beauty in any form. He talks about beauty in all the forms, and you will say whether it is growth, whether it is birth, whether it is decay, or whether it is death. Growth and decay and birth and death, they are the two important coins of this, two important sides of the same coin, two important aspects of life, and they go side by side. So it is like, this decay, this death is also a great source of motivation. It is also a great source of inspiration for us. Okay, and it is like a blessing for us from the edge of heaven, from God. Okay, what does the word brink mean? You know that brink means corner or edge of something, and here he's talking about the edge of heaven. Okay, so this is all about this poem, and let us discuss textbook questions. Then I would be giving you some extra questions also, but not today, after 1 or 2 days, because tomorrow is the day when you have to submit your assignment of keeping quiet. So please complete it, because half of it you've already done it, more than half. In your On 30th of May, I had given you that assignment, wherein when we did this particular poem, Keeping Quiet, and a few extra questions that have come from the department, I have sent them to you. Complete all the questions and send them to me by tomorrow. Tomorrow is the date of submission of Keeping Quiet. And let's discuss a few questions related to this poem. List the things of beauty mentioned in the poem. Somebody else, apart from Gurnoor, Khushpreet,
Ma'am,
Abhishek, somebody else.
may I speak?
Yes, Arajungal, yes.
Ma'am, in this, the things of beauty mentioned in the poems are the sun, the moon, trees old and young,
Yes, very good.
daffodils, clear hills,
Yes, very good.
etc. Ma'am.
Yes. So we have things of beauty all around us. For example, the glorious sun, the moon, then we have trees, then we have sheep, then we have daffodils, then we have clear streams and rivers, then we have ferns, and then we have beautiful blooming musk roses, and everywhere around us we see beautiful things, and these beautiful things, they not only refresh us but they also rejuvenate us, and when we are feeling sad or hopeless or dejected, they lift our spirits. Okay, list the things that cause suffering and pain. He talks about so many things. Yes, Astha Chauhan, you can answer. Astha?
Ma'am, there are many things that causes suffering and pain, like no lack of noble qualities, unhealthy and over darkened ways.
Yes, yes. So we have the scarcity of nobility around us, noble people around us. We have very, very few people around us who have noble natures. So this these are the things that cause suffering and pain on the earth, and they make our lives hopeless, and they make us despondent. Despondent, as we have read it, it is a loss of hope, and they also make our days sad as well as gloomy. Next is, what is the line? Therefore are we weaving a flowery band to bind us to the earth. What does this line suggest to you? What is this flowery band? What are these flowers? Again, I told you these flowers are some form of beauty, and that is there around us. And we weave those flowers, we weave those memories around us, to keep us alive, to support our life. And so, what does this suggest to you? Yes? Anybody from the class? Yes, Alamjeet. You can answer. Alam.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, this line suggests to us that every day we weave a wreath of love because it keeps us attached to the beauties of the earth. And ma'am, beauty, uh, beautiful flowers refer to here as for suggesting the beautiful seeds.
Yes. So beautiful flowers. So we need to stay connected to the earth, and therefore we weave this string of flowers. And what are these flowers? These are beauty flowers. Again, we have beauty in any form. It is maybe in the form of some gesture, maybe in the form of beauty that we witness, on earth, on any particular day. So all these are flowers. They act. They're symbolic. This is a symbolic meaning that he talks about here. What makes human beings love life in spite of troubles and sufferings? So he says, in spite of unhealthy and over darkened ways, what makes we the people love life? Why do we love life in spite of troubles and sufferings around us?
It
Ma'am,
is
may I?
beauty
Just
on earth which make.
hold on. Yes, who said may I? Who said may I?
Ma'am.
हाँ बोलो बच्चे गुड बोलो.
Ma'am, the phases of joy and happiness which beautify life make human beings love life in spite of troubles and sufferings.
Yes. So we have in between these difficult times we have phases of joy, we have phases of happiness, and we have beauty all around us. So these things, when we see some beautiful river, a sight of a beautiful river, when we see a shade, and the shade of the tree that gives us not only shade but also comfort, and when we see the sound, when we hear the sound of some river or see it, and then we see some beautiful musk rose blooming, all these beautiful sights, they motivate us to love life more in spite of the difficulties and the trials and tribulations that we face in our life. Why is grandeur associated with the mighty dead? We've done it today itself. Why is magnificence? How is death magnificent? Yes. Somebody else should answer. We have 59 students. There were 63 earlier. Who are the 4 students who have left the meeting without taking my permission? You cannot just leave the meeting like this. You have to take it as a classroom itself. See, this year there is very remote. There are very remote chances that we would be having actual classroom teaching. So we are going to have this online teaching only, and but you cannot just you have to take it very seriously. You cannot just leave the class in between without the permission of the teacher. If you have your coaching or something like that, you need to inform me, and thereby you can leave only after taking my permission. It is very rude on your part if you just leave the meeting like that. We were on question number 5. How is death magnificent?
Ma'am, may I?
Yes, yes, you can answer.
Ma'am, the noble deeds of brave men who sacrifice their lives are an inspiration for us forever.
Yes.
And the beautiful legacy of their bravery is the grandeur, which is
Yeah.
associated with the mighty dead.
Yes, the beautiful legacy of their nobility, of their sacrifice. That is why he says there is grandness, there is magnificence in death, and we're talking about the noble people who have sacrificed their life for the others. We are not just talking about, we are not just limiting ourselves to a particular age or a particular decade or a particular century, but it is timeless, and we have such noble people all around us in every age, in every decade, in every uh, century. Like then he says,
Um,
we, yes.
okay, sure.
Then he says, do we experience things of beauty only for short moments, or do they make a lasting impression on us? Yes?
May I?
Yes, you can, but the others have to mute their mics. Please mute your speakers. Anji, bolo bache aap. Bolo.
Ma'am, things of beauty make a lasting impression on us, and they are a source of joy forever, and they are eternal, and one can experience the joy forever.
Yes, they are eternal, they're everlasting, they don't come to an end, they never pass into nothingness, but they keep our lives moving, and they give us joy and happiness forever, because the impression that they leave on our minds, it is indelible. The other day I was telling you, indelible means something which cannot be erased. So whenever we think of them, we live those moments, we relive them, we live those moments again. Okay. Next is, what image does the poet use to describe the beautiful bounty of the earth? What is the image? The last two lines. What is the image that the poet uses to describe the beautiful bounty of the earth? He talks about some fountain, some elixir. Yes?
Ma'am,
Ma'am, may I?
Anji, bolo. Yes?
And the beautiful bounty of the earth is described by fountain of immortal drink, which signifies that God bestows us with all his beautiful creations, which
Yes.
help us live despite of that sad, gloomy aspects
Very good, very good.
of
The
life.
beautiful bounty, the blessings that we receive from God, and which are for everybody. He does not discriminate between good or bad, between right or wrong, but He gives His beautiful bounty to everyone on the earth, and it is like an everlasting fountain and an everlasting source of joy for us. Okay, so this is all about this poem, A Thing of Beauty, we have done. Now, see, we are left with not much of the syllabus because we've done quite a few chapters and almost all the poems, because the roadside stand is not going to be there in your syllabus this time. It has been deleted, so we are left with only one poem, that is Aunt Jennifer's Tigers. We'll be doing it later on. And as far as your chapters are concerned, again, not many chapters are left, so we'll do more of reading section and writing section for the next few days. And also, I'll tell you, I'll be planning to take a test also, roll number wise, and I'll tell you in advance about that. As far as your homework is concerned, please try and submit it in time, because every week we have to send a report that these many students have completed the work, and the reasons why the others have not given their work. And if you don't give me any reason, then you are a defaulter. Okay, and your name along with your roll number goes to the department. So it is really going to affect, because this is your board class. This thing is seriously going to affect your internal assessment. I'm not talking about the classes that you attend. I'm talking about the see, for classes you can give the excuse that I had tuition, but my net was not working. But what can be the excuse of not submitting your assignment in time? So whatever assignments are given to you, you have to submit them in time. So that is all for today. Have a good day, and study well, and take rest also in between. Don't just strain your eyes too much by looking into your phones or your computers throughout the day. Okay, give your eyes rest. Do some exercises of the eyes. So that is all for today. Have a nice day.